Yeah, I know. This is technically from about a week ago. But if I've done my job correctly, you would know that I'm on vacation right now, and this is still a conversation that I think is worth having. So, today we are diving into the Montreal Canadiens and talking about defenseman Arber Xhekaj. His overall profile, what he brings to the Canadiens, his usage, and we're going to talk about trades. Because it has been quite a noteworthy talking point over the past few years, how Arber Xhekaj is seemingly very valuable. You wouldn't know it just by looking at this over here. You look at his points, you say, okay, 13 points, 51 games in his first year. 2 years ago, 6 points in 70 games in the most recent season, 118 penalty minutes, so Xhekaj definitely has a role that he fulfills on the team. This isn't really somebody who stands off the score sheet in any way. But the 6'4", 240-pound left-handed defenseman still provides value to the Montreal Canadiens with his physicality, with his presence, with his aggressiveness, and with the vibes that he brings on the ice. He polices the game. That's why they call him the Sheriff. But because Arber Xhekaj is one defenseman of many on the Montreal Canadiens, there have been some discussions as to what trades could look like and whether or not it actually would be worth exploring for the Habs. Let's take our sights over to the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro and a video they posted last week on August 22nd. Let's go out there and read the question on the video clip. Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro, Habs Expos fan goes out there and asks, "Hey Tony and Brian, what do you guys think the trade value is for Arber Xhekaj? Not that I want him traded, but he's not the coach's favorite player, and with Struble and even Engstrom, I don't want to see him as a healthy scratch." Yeah, not even just Struble and Engstrom, but it's everybody on that left side. Hudson, Gooley, Matheson. That's a 1-2-3 right there. You've got Struble, potentially Engstrom, then you got Dobson, Carrier. That's 7 names in total that we listed, and that doesn't even include Reinbacher, before you get to Xhekaj, who could be seen as defenseman number 9 on this team. The clip has the caption over here. It's a quote from Brian Wild on the show. "I'm going to say that the market for Arber Xhekaj is a second-round draft pick, but they're not trading him because he is a unicorn." Trading Xhekaj would very likely come back to haunt the Montreal Canadiens, Tony Marinaro says here in the tweet's opening sentence. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about that for a little bit. Arber Xhekaj, trade value, trade price, second-round pick. Yeah, honestly, that seems right about there. You're not going to get a lot of value for this guy. Like, he's not a first-round pick caliber player. If you trade him away, you're not getting that much. You're not really going to get any point scorers out of him. You're not going to get a highly touted young defenseman. I mean, Xhekaj himself is 24 years old. He's kind of young. But we understand the value that he brings probably supersedes whatever it is you can acquire with a second-round draft choice. Unless, of course, you ended up drafting the next Arber Xhekaj. But this is not a necessarily valuable player here. And it was expanded upon in the video clip, also on an article published on HabsFanatics.com. Elias Adiam published this piece a week ago after the video clip was posted on Twitter. Let's go out there and read the article together. Trading Arber Xhekaj would likely to come back to haunt the Habs. The expert went on to say the Canadiens management knows very well that Xhekaj is a special, unique player, and they see absolutely no reason to trade him for anything less than a first. The Canadiens already have plenty of second and third round picks in Montreal. Wild raises another good point. In Montreal, Xhekaj's case goes beyond hockey plans. We're talking about a guy who is extremely popular in the city, and then trading him away for next to nothing, that would likely frustrate the fans more than anything else. That is indeed a very good point, and it's something that weighs heavily when it comes time for Kent Hughes to reevaluate trade offers for Xhekaj. Would you trade Arber Xhekaj for a first from a competitive team? For the sake of making things interesting, let's go out there and take a look at this. So there's a poll. It's got 1,092 answers. Would you trade Xhekaj for a first-round pick? That's a good question. I'd say, when you think about Arber Xhekaj and his usage, if he doesn't end up playing a lot of games, I would rather have a first-round pick, so I'd probably say yes. Let's go out there and see the polls over here. All right. So, 890 Habs fans say no, they would not trade Xhekaj for a first-round pick. Okay. There you go. The people have spoken. I guess he is really popular in the city after all. Yeah, no, that's definitely the case here. So Arber Xhekaj, frustrating the fans if he gets traded. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense here. And it plays even further into the point that the Montreal Canadiens, despite the limited trade price for Arber Xhekaj and what it is he would demand in the market, I don't think there really is any benefit to trading this guy from an optics perspective. And also, there's the idea that if Arber Xhekaj ends up getting traded, you know that he's going to go out there and totally terrorize Montreal when the Habs come over and play whichever team Xhekaj gets traded to. Let's say for the sake of bringing up an example, Xhekaj gets traded to Philadelphia. He's got Rick Tocchet going out there and telling him to beat everybody's heads in. And then the Habs play the Flyers. And then Tocchet hockey goes sicko mode on Montreal, and Arber Xhekaj is allowed to be the sheriff and police everybody. Maybe even his own younger brother in Florian Xhekaj, who will also probably have some sort of a role with Montreal at some point. I'd much rather try Arber Xhekaj at forward and have the entire Dustin Byfuglien conversation again, rather than trade this guy away for just a second-round pick. I mean, considering the fact that Xhekaj was a free agent signing himself, he was not a drafted player in any draft, I think there's a lot of value from Montreal's perspective to find this diamond in the rough and mold him into an asset that they could only really trade away if they got a first-round pick or something like that in exchange. But even so, you're already looking at the poll results. 70% of Canadiens fans on HabsFanatics.com would not want to see Xhekaj get traded, even if it was for a first-round pick. So there is a lot of discussion to dive into when it comes to Arber Xhekaj and the trade discussion. Even though the price could be seen as a little bit less, it doesn't really move the needle for Montreal. And whatever price does move the needle for the Habs, I have a hard time thinking about other NHL teams coughing it up. If Kent Hughes is on the phone with some other team and he's like, yeah, we want a first for Xhekaj. You know how many teams are going to scoff at that and be like, no, what the hell? A first-round pick for a guy who gets 6 points a year in 100-plus penalty minutes? Yeah, he brings a lot of value physically, but is that worth a first-round pick? I don't know. With all this in mind, though, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Arber Xhekaj conversation and the trade price, what it takes to get this guy off the team, and whether or not you think it's actually worth it for Montreal to entertain that type of discourse? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this. Sign on, and bye.